I'm trying to talk on a slightly different note, a very unglamorous kind of sector called agriculture, and how we can make it glamorous and jazzy by applying technology. You keep hearing about the farmers' agitation and all the other things, but the fact of the matter is, whatever food you get on the table is because there is agriculture. If that particular sector disappears, we will be starving. Now, this particular company that I'm talking about, Sanmoksh, is run by a friend of mine. He's a batchmate also, and we have known each other from 1985 onwards. We did our BTech project together, our final year project together. So the reason I'm mentioning this is there are chances that you might be getting into relationships in your college which might be lifetime enriching. Not that some of you might become life partners, but you might become business partners. So it's very important at this stage that whatever assignments you get and whatever projects you do it with certain amount of seriousness, not to get grades, because some of them might really become businesses, as this one has. So Ashok and I, when we did our BTech project, at that time we had no idea that we will be teaming up some 35 years later, but we did. And now we are trying to serve the people in the villages. And the tagline, as you see on top, empowering lives, catalyzing development. This is very, when you talked about vision, when Avishkar talked about vision, this is the vision we have. Empowering lives, catalyzing development. So we are not saying that we are going to go and do things in the villages. We are saying we're going to empower people, empower villagers with technology, which they will use. And I will just show you certain slides and a video later. When an 8th class person is using IoT devices and running a microgrid in a village, 8th pass, you don't need, very frankly, you don't need education just because there's an IoT device and therefore something will happen. Try and make technology so simple that people can use it. And that's the whole attempt has been in Sanmoksh. So what are the problem statements we are looking at? We are looking at water management, energy access, and poverty alleviation. And when you have your problem statements very clear, then you can start doing things to be able to get over this or try and come up with products and services to be able to serve that. That's what your marketing course, Marketing 101 kind of teaches you, correct? So what are the water management issues? Well, there's no control of water. You keep hearing about irrigation happening, flooded irrigation. There's no control on how much water can be used at any point in time, what kind of crop it may be. We are also hearing of Jal Shakti mission and how the water table all over India is getting down. I mean, there are chances that there will be very water-starved area in India. What can we do about it? So that's one. Then there's no scientific irrigation techniques right now. All the farmers, they just let the water flow, and you keep hearing of Punjab growing paddy when it's not supposed to. Lot of water going there. For Maharashtra growing paddy again, and sugarcane, lot of water usage there. So how do we control all of this? Diesel-based systems, we all suffering under pollution. We want to cut down diesel as much as possible. Then energy access. Now, even though we keep hearing of village electrification, but how many hours a villager gets electricity is still very uncertain. Some say 4 hours, some say 8 hours, some say 16 hours. Then they don't know when it's going to come, what's the voltage, erratic, all those problems. So when you don't have energy or when you don't have consistent energy, look at you yourself. When you get out of bed in the morning, what's the first thing that you need? Energy. The day you feel worn out, you can't even climb out of bed. Forget about going and having a bath or having something to eat. To get out of bed, you need energy. So what does a village need to get out from its own poverty status? Energy. So we are trying to look at that too. Then, what is poverty really? Do you think these villagers really are poor? No, they aren't really. But we have made them poor, so-called, because they have been entitled. They go, rather than being empowered, we are entitling them. Look, we'll give you free rations and atta, dal, chini, and all the politics behind it. But the fact of the matter is, these villagers are very intelligent people, and if you give them the right tools, if you, again, that word is empowerment, sashaktikaran, Hindi mein bolenge, sashaktikaran. If we can empower the villagers, they will be able to do a lot more things, and that's what the vision of our father of the nation, Mr. Mahatma Gandhi, and Abdul Kalam ji, late Abdul Kalam, who was the president, and he formulated the concept of Pura, P-U-R-A, provision of urban amenities in rural areas. So it's not about, look, why should IoT be here? I mean, we just had this session of Avishkar talking about fridges, talking to other, ordering things, etc. Why can't they be happening in the villages itself? Why not? We again did the marketing exercise. What do the customers want? And what are the, what kind of NGOs and who are working in the villages, what do they want? So we came up with this agri-tech we talked about how it can reduce costs, how can we improve quality, how we can conform to the SDGs, all of this bit. And there we came up with this technology, and what you see on the right hand side is a real-time update. So that box out there is connected to the cloud, and luckily with all the proliferation of mobile phones in villages and connectivity better than before, we can get the same kind of reports and analytics really. And when I talk of analytics is, depending on the crop situation, depending on the soil conditions, you can determine exactly how much water is required, how much fertilizer is required. And on a daily basis, you can put sensors and you can find out today it has rained, less water. Tomorrow it's not rain, whatever the amount of water is. And now we're going even further, we're looking at drone photography. Drones can take photographs from the top and determine exactly what the soil condition is. Not only that, in a plot of land, they can even find out which side to grow and which side not to grow, because some part of the land might be infertile and other part might be fertile. And all of this together is what's changing the farmer's life. Not only the farmer's life, very frankly, I've seen now, and you might be seeing a lot of media articles, and I'm very happy to hear that some of the ITians who've come from abroad have chucked up their jobs and gone into villages. And they're producing organic stuff, they're producing all kinds of technology to be able to take in. And India, by the way, is a very lucky nation. You can do 3 crops a year. A place like Europe or US can't. Their winters are so harsh. But we can do 3 crops a year, or maybe more even. But our farmers lack that technology, lack that scientific irrigation, lack that bent of mind to be able to do things themselves. Our whole idea is, how do we provide technology for them to be able to do things, not us for them. We see the same reports that they see, but they know exactly what those reports mean. And this is what we've seen. Now, this is a real life example. In 4 months, you can see the transformation that's happened, that orange arrow. And you can see this farmer sitting with a tablet. He can control water from there. Now, this story is like there was a 30-acre piece of land. There was around 40 odd farmers who had large, medium, small kind of plots facing north, south, east, west. Till now, the situation was they will buy a pump, and they'll have a diesel pump also, and they will flood their places whichever way. And after 4 months of monsoon, the water will run dry, and for the next 8 months, they will be doing nothing. Then came this piece of technology that was given to them. Now, what happens is that each farmer is decided, look how much water is to be required. First, we didn't have any data, so they decided, okay, I need 10,000 liters, but I'll pay for it. So one guy becomes the water entrepreneur. We call him an aquapreneur. So he becomes so-called, he invests in the money, in buying this technology, getting a bore well fixed and getting the water out. He gets a mobile phone alert saying, go to field number 23. He knows which 23 is. When he goes to field number 23, the farmer who owns that 23 field gets an alert that your field is being watered. and 10,000 liters has been sent to you. Now that other farmer needn't be at the same place. He can go to the mandi, he can be traveling outside, wherever with a mobile phone you can be anywhere. He can be US for that matter. He will get a notification, he's got the right amount of water and he's to pay that amount of money. The billing module, and there's a collection module that's directly linked to the bank account, automatically that amount of money is debited to his account. So it's all automated that way. There's nothing, and each of the farmers, we are not talking of how many languages and all. Everybody right now works on icons. On your mobile phone, there are these various icons, you just press on it and things happen after that. This person who's holding the tablet is an illiterate person right now. And he works with that and he knows exactly which field has to be watered, what amount, at what time. So right amount of water at the right location and right time. And what it has done is, look, we are working on solar here. Now solar doesn't mean that, at around 9 o'clock there will be some amount of energy, 12 o'clock it's more energy, 3 o'clock again it starts reducing. Why water all the fields at the same time? That's what happens with the analog pumps. But here we're talking of solar pumps. As the energy increases, as the sun goes up in the sky and becomes, more productive, let's say, on energy terms, more number of fields will get watered at the same time. Now, what the large farmers have done is, a 100-acre farmer, let's say, an exporter farmer who's got some mangoes and strawberries and I don't know what all kinds of fruits, all the high-tech ones, which are very, very sensitive to the amount of water and right time of watering required. So they've got a web of pipes. It looks literally like your printed circuit board, literally, and with valves and sensors. And he can be sitting in the US and he can open up a valve in his field and get the field watered accordingly. And this is something which was very useful during COVID days because the labor wasn't there. And these large farmers, how do they manage? So they could now work with their mobile phone, release water, get to know the details, what's happening. And these exporter farmers, that it's very critical. Okay, look, if the amount of water is more or less, the crop will have a problem. And that will mean he can't export it, or he may export it at a lesser rate. To get the right amount, the technology has empowered him to do this. Next. Now this is where I'm talking of a nano grid or a micro grid. Is different from the main grid. Basically, it serves a small set of people. These are kilowatts. We're not talking of megawatts. We're talking in a particular region. And I'll show you a video right after this, where this particular technology is literally of the village, for the village, and by the village. It's a very famous Kennedy quote. But this is where it's come from. Okay, look, the villagers wanted it. It provides them dynamic demand supply management. Look at the farmer. He says very simple thing. Sir, ये मेरे 200 रुपए है. सुबह मुझे बिजली आप खेत में दे दीजिएगा, क्योंकि मेरी बीबी और मैं हम दोनों जाके खेत में पानी डालते हैं. रात को मेरे घर में एक लाइट और एक एलईडी बल्ब जला दीजिएगा, एक एलईडी बल्ब और एक फैन चला दीजिएगा. मैं घर में आके सो जाऊं और मेरा बेटा होमवर्क कर ले, और ये 200 रुपए आप जैसे करना चाहे करो. So the same electricity that goes in the morning to the fields, in the evening comes back to his home. So what this is doing is, we are creating sustainability. It's not about giving these for free. Today he knows he can pay for one fan and one light. As his farm produces increases, tomorrow he'll buy 2 lights, maybe 2 fans, may get an AC also, or a cooler, microwave, whatever. So provision of urban amenities in the rural area, that vision will get fulfilled. So this is all about how you can make the person work on his own benefit. Next, please. Now, I would like to show you in a video here. This is a Khudgaon island. This is in the middle of Mahanadi River. It never had electricity till 2018, never. Because the grid electricity can't reach the water all over the place. So you had to generate electricity from within the island itself. Can you please play the video, please? Yeah. launch team led by Dr. Ashok Das at Khudgaon, inspecting the smart Nano Grid before it goes live. The demographic dividend that India is proud of, and I'm like double the age of that average age that India should be. Now, the reason I wanted to take this, I've got a small video which shows an extract of a talk given by Ashok Das on how these SDGs interplay amongst themselves. It's not about one SDG or two SDGs, but by focusing on, let's say, SDG 8, which is decent work and economic growth, the other SDGs start falling in place.
So what are these goals? I think most of you are aware and familiar with these goals, with the 17 goals, focusing on poverty, hunger, health, education, gender equality, clean water, sanitation, energy, again, work, industry, inequalities. As you can see, all of these are primarily pointing towards, how do we make the world more sustainable and more inclusive. From our perspective, what I believe is the SDG 8 is a key. So if we really focus on 8 and give everybody enough economic growth, decent work, and enough livelihood, they can themselves go and take care of their hunger. The poverty will be eradicated. This is the result of the focus on one goal, that economic empowerment is the key. And of course, as time progresses in the long term, you will achieve the sustainable communities and peace and justice on this earth. If everybody has enough to eat and live and raise families and give everybody good education. So if you look around all the fight, it's because of only two things, either need or greed. So I don't know how to take care of the greed, but at least need we can deal and we can take care by working on SDG 8. What is our theory of change is that you focus on 8, outcomes we can achieve through 8, inputs or interventions are our solutions, technology solutions, together with the local partnership. It's not that it's a linear process. You do once and you're done. No, it goes into cycles. It repeats because different kinds of interventions are needed at different level so that eventually the community goes into the sustainable community, achieving peace and justice.
Thank you. So this is what my expectation for you people is. Look, you may all not be so closely attached to your village, but your nanas and your dadas would have been there. You would have heard stories from them. Even your parents would have expected you to, sometimes accompany them to a village. If you really want to please your nanas and dadas, spend some time in a village. Use your knowledge of technology and use some of these technologies already developed to create a difference in the lives of villagers themselves. And I think that is far more, have a far more reaching effect on your career also. Very frankly, if you worked in a village and tomorrow if you want to apply abroad or do some higher education stuff, in your statement of purpose, if you show and if you have really worked hard and done something transforming in a village, I'm sure you'll get a scholarship and you'll be able to go abroad to do even higher education. As a student, that's what I'm saying, but some of you might choose it as a career. And very frankly, in villages, the village that I just showed you, Khudgaon, it's better than being in Switzerland. It is such an open area. There are only 80 households, around 300 odd people. That can become an ecotourism spot. It's only a matter of who goes there and invest and make that happen. And there are many such opportunities in India where you can show the leadership inequality in you, and you can use your education to make a difference in people's lives. Thank you very much.